Hey everybody, welcome back. I wanted to do a video today about my good, funny high school experiences, things that I experienced, funny things other people did. I think back to junior high and high school. That was kind of a hard time in my life, going through so much, transitioning from a child into an adult, and it's a hard time, and you know, um, trying to figure out, college plans and what you're going to do with your life. It's a very stressful time. Hormones are all out of whack. So I tend to have a lot of bad memories of high school, but it took me a while, about a month, to come up with think about all these memories. I wish when I think back on high school, and I'm trying to, in junior high, I'm trying to think of the funny stuff and just try to put the bad stuff out of the picture. So I'll start off with the first one, and it was really exciting. Toward right before graduation, senior year, in gym class in high school for PE, physical education, we had general PE, and we still went to the weight room. Class was like an hour and a half, and you'd spend like the first half in the weight room, and then, or you'd flip flop. Sometimes you'd spend the first half playing sports, and then you'd go to the weight room. There were like three classes going on at one time, two general PE classes, and one, which is what a lot of the jocks, the guy and the girl jocks did, which was called accelerated, and that was like more on instead of playing, they didn't play sports at all normally. They focused almost like 100% on fitness, weightlifting, and other kinds of exercise. Especially the people that only played like one. Some people played like three sports. Throughout the whole year they were in a sport, but some people just played football or basketball or baseball, for example. So it was recommended for them to be in the accelerated class to stay in shape during the off season. Even me being on the golf team, it was recommended that I do the accelerated class because it focused more on weightlifting to build up my muscles for my golf swing to gain distance. But yeah, I felt like the general PE, I enjoyed playing the sports more. I felt like I got enough time in the weight room just doing that. So, anyways, towards the end of the year, and there were a lot of guys on the baseball team that were in this particular accelerated class. I think it was like a fun thing we did, and I was in the general PE class. We played a baseball game against the accelerated class, and we ended up beating them. It was really funny. It was kind of like shocking to us that we were winning, and it was shocking to the accelerated team that we were kicking their asses so bad. Especially a lot of the guys that were in this particular class were on the baseball team, and you could just see the anger. They were just like in complete despair, and I actually made the game-winning catch. It was right before the end of class, anyways. But they thought I was trying to. My back was turned. I was in the outfield. I was playing outfielder or right fielder. Somebody hit. We were playing inside, and like hitting the bleat because the outfield. There was like two sets of bleachers. I think left field there was a set of bleachers with a wall in front, and then on the right side there was just a set of bleachers that didn't have a wall in front. So somebody hit a ball to the outfield or the right field, and I crashed into the bleachers. I caught the ball on the fly, and within like a split second, I ran into the bleachers, and they were trying because my back was turned. I think I might have been blocking some of the guys, and they were made the game-winning catch. The gym teacher, PE teacher called that the game was over, class was almost over, but some people were trying to claim that it was a home run. They said I trapped the ball. They had hit the bleachers, and I trapped the ball. But even one of my friends who was on the baseball team in this accelerated class, this guy Brad was a nice guy, a good friend of mine, and he said no, he caught it. They won fair and square. They didn't cheat. But I was kind of worried going to the locker room. I was watching my back. I was just waiting for somebody to beat my ass or jump me. But yeah, luckily nothing happened. Everything was okay. And then we had this really nice accounting teacher. She was like one of the best teachers in the school. Everybody loved her. I loved her. And there was this guy, John, who was like the class clown. And he did like a number of different things. I knew him ever since first grade. He's a great guy. I'm still friends with him to this day. But he was always such a laugh. He was always cracking. He was such a comedian. I'm surprised he didn't go into comedy. But he spread this rumor around that the teacher was gonna teach us how to cheat on our taxes. And I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with high school. When you start a rumor, it just spreads like wildfire. And word had gotten around, and some people actually believed it was true. And then he kind of put it to rest. Other teachers believed it too, but he didn't want her to get into any kind of like legal trouble. He's like, oh no, I made it up. It's just a rumor. I was just joking. And This is in the early days of, I don't know if it was Google that he was on, but this was like the early days of the internet. I didn't use the internet until my senior year, this back in 97, 98. And this teacher, I think she was maybe in her mid late 40s at the time, and I think she had a daughter that was around her age. This is senior year. I think she had a daughter that was like 16, 17, maybe 18, and she didn't have like any pictures. Never brought her to school or anything like that. But all the guys in the class were, you know, talking about her daughter, saying that they want to meet her daughter so bad. And this guy John, I think he had looked up. We knew the town that she lived in, and she had a really unique last name. It wasn't a very common last name, it was an Italian name. But he looked her up on the address that popped up. I don't know if it was on Google or some other type of address search, people search. I don't know if the internet white pages or yellow pages were in existence back then. But he pulled up an address, and it was her town. I'm pretty sure it was hers. And then he was like asking, I think there was a phone number in there too. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna call and ask if her daughter's there. I want to talk to her. I'm one of her students, John. And he pulled up an address, which we think was hers. It was the same town that she claimed that she lived in. And he asked her, he's like, hey, is this your address? Is this where you live? And she laughed. And she's like, oh, I'm not gonna say. So I'm pretty sure that was a yes. But yeah, that was funny. And people were pushing her. And I think there is that one day, like, was it mother-daughter day? You bring your daughter to work, and like, oh, come on, bring your daughter to work. We're gonna, if you don't bring her to work, we're gonna find you. We're gonna go to your house, and we're gonna say, hey, is your daughter home? Or call and say, hey, is so-and-so's daughter there? It was such a funny, and she was such a good sport about it too. Such a fun, nice, yeah, great-hearted teacher. Such a good sport. I had a history teacher that, U.S. history, I loved too. And I had him for a basketball coach as a younger kid. It was funny, he was always real nice, but he was real serious on the basketball court as a coach. No, didn't yell. Just so that you could hear him. He kind of like push you, like, oh, do this, do that, but it wasn't like he was mad at you. He was trying to bring out the best in you, but he was very serious, never smiled, never cracked any jokes. So I thought as a teacher, I'm like, oh boy, because I wasn't really a big fan of history back then. I wasn't really looking forward to it, but he was a nice guy, but like, oh, he's probably gonna be real serious. But actually, no, he was really comic. He was like a kind of like a stand-up comedian as a teacher, so funny. And he was, for some reason, the Oakland Athletics baseball team. I know there was one pitcher, Catfish Hunter, but he was a real big fan of the Oakland Athletics, and they were real good back in the '60s. And he came in one day, and on the whiteboard, the marker board, he had like the baseball diamond drawn. And I think he already knew. He was pretending like he was trying to, get his memory back of all the players, all their positions. He was making it, I think he already knew it, but he was making out to be like he was reflecting back on that, and let's see if I can do it. So he did it. He named all the players, all their positions, first, second, third base, catcher, head pitch. I think one of the best pitchers, Catfish Hunter, all the outfield positions. And then he just like started yelling. It was like so excited about it. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. He's like, ah! And we were all laughing our asses off, and that he was like so excited. He recognized all the positions, all the players. And we were touching on the Kennedy assassination. We were watching it, some documentary on it. I think it might have been National Geographic, but it was in slow mo. I think we saw the assassination in fast. I think it was talking about the theories on the shooting, like Lee Harvey Oswald. I think they talked about like where, how good a shooter he was because he hit a moving target, and the window, the floor that he shot from. And then there was like some theories, which there still is to this day, if there was a second gunman on that grassy knoll. So anyway, we just saw Kennedy getting assassinated. I think they showed it, first we saw it in regular motion. I think they showed it like slowed down in slow motion. You can actually see like his head coming off. And this guy, Dustin, that was in the class, real cool guy, but he was like always like drinking and smoking weed. And this one particular day, I think he was high on weed, like totally stoned out of his mind. And we were all kind of like shocked. I think I'd seen it once before, years earlier, but I had forgotten how grotesque it was. You saw his head coming off. And this guy, Dustin, I think because of being on under the influence of weed, was so stoned out of his mind, he just started freaking out in front of the whole class. He's like, Jesus fucking Christ. He's like, holy shit, Jesus fucking Christ. Damn. And then the teacher's like, that's not appropriate, Dustin. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, I've never seen that before. Pretty funny. And then there was another day, this guy Dustin, we had a substitute teacher, and I think he showed up drunk and high that day. He had actually I think he had like a traffic violation the night before, or a curfew or something like that. It was some minor misdemeanor, got bailed out. I don't know if it was by his parents or somebody else, but he was like laughing when he showed up to class. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm drunk as hell. He's like, I just got out of jail a couple hours ago, and I guess after he got out of jail, he was like drinking or smoking weed in the morning. And yeah, he was so drunk, like he was having trouble. We were supposed to write out like the questions. We had a substitute teacher this day, but we were supposed to write out like these study guide questions and then look up the answers and write out the answers too, turn them in. And he was so wasted, he couldn't even write. And we didn't want the teacher to suspect anything. We were afraid that he was going to think that something's up, because he started yelling obscenities at the teacher and saying that the teacher was a dork. I don't know if the teacher was really old. He looked like he was in his 70s, and I think he was kind of hard of hearing, but he definitely heard something, because he'd go, oh, let's all settle down now. But he didn't actually confront this guy, Dustin, and say, hey, why you call me those names? Why you call me a dork? You know, why you yelling at me, yelling obscenities? But I think I told him at one point, I'm like, dude, just write. He might think something's up. And he actually gathered himself, and he was able to write normally until the teacher walked away. And it was always so funny. We had substitute teachers because they didn't always know what was going on. We were always in the thrill of our lives, because it was always like a goof off day. And let's see. Then there was, I forget who it was, but there was some celebrity. I don't know, it might have been Elton John or something, but there was a guy, Andy, in the class. He said something about Elton John. If it was Elton John, I don't quite remember, but he said something like, oh, he's a fag, or he's a homo, or something like that. And then the teacher, history, the regular teacher we had, he's like, oh, are you speaking from personal experience? And that shut him up. The whole class started cracking up. And he said something one day about, we were watching about, documentary about a teacher, high school teacher that was hiding in a closet, came out as a gay man. And this guy, Andy, was kind of homophobic, and he's like, oh man, he's like, that's nasty, and the teacher explained the reasons that he did come out, and he's like, well, he's still gay, that's nasty, and the teacher's just like, oh well, everyone in class is like, oh well, it is what it is, putting him in his place again. And then there was a history teacher I had the year before, world history, where he was pretty cool teacher too. I forget what the movie was, but he was really into like revolutions, wars, things like that. He was kind of like a warmonger, a revolution monger. He kind of felt like revolutions was always the key to solving problems, and he talked about his own theories as to what it takes to start, survive, and win a revolution. Things like that. And I think he said, the key to winning a revolution, to surviving, is you got to stay as small as possible, but yet be as powerful as possible. But anyways, we were watching a medieval movie. I forget what it was, but it was funny. This was like a class for freshmen and sophomores. It was required for graduation, world history. And there was this medieval movie. There was one part where this guy was in bed with two girls, and everyone was kind of cracking up about that. And then they weren't having sex. I don't know if they were getting into it. They weren't having sex, but there was one part of the movie, this scene where one of the girls was sucking on another girl's big toe. And he questioned us a little. We were all laughing, but a little while later, a couple months later, he was talking about something, and he was telling us to reflect, to think back to that movie. He's like, remember that movie we saw? What was the key to, starting a revolution? And then nobody answered. And he's like, oh yeah, you probably don't remember. The only thing you remember about that movie is one chick was sucking on another chick's toe. It's pretty funny. And then we're watching another movie where, or it might have been a, documentary of National Geographic. I think it was something National Geographic, but all these guys were cuffed and shackled, they're handcuffed behind their backs. Arms were, they were handcuffed to their wrists, hands behind their backs, and their ankles were shackled together, and they were getting drowned. The guys were just pushing them into this body of water. They're drowning. We're all probably thinking the same thing, but even the teacher was standing right next to me. He's like, damn. He's like, that's got to be a horrible way to go. I'm like, yeah, you can say that again. I'd rather have the gas chamber than that. Let's see. Oh, and then there was this junior year. There was this history teacher. Oh man, he was nice, but he was just so boring, so boring, and not exciting at all. It was a whole time he was lecturing, but his lectures weren't. I hated English. That was my least favorite subject. I hated language, vocabulary, spelling. I hated all that shit. Even though I was pretty good at it, just didn't really like reading. But this teacher was just so. It was the first class of the day. Class started at 7:30. He was so fucking boring. Oh my god, he put all of us to sleep. We needed, I think there was one day there was a fight in the class. There was a substitute teacher that day, and it was on a Friday, and then this teacher came back on a Monday, and he apologized for it. And somebody in the class said, "Oh, actually, no, that's okay. We need some action in this class." And then he was actually serious, but he was joking. He's like, "Oh, I hope not." He's like, "Let me know if you do." I'm like, "Oh yeah, we definitely do." And we were talking about like evil one day, like what defines like evil. And then this one guy Josh in the class, is so funny. He said, "Hey, he's like, we have this English class at 7:30 in the morning, starting 7:30 in the morning. That's evil." And he actually told us one day that we were going to have a sub. He's like, "Oh, you'll have a sub tomorrow." And then we got so tired of his boring lectures and taking notes. This guy Josh is like, "Oh, cool, thank God." And then the teacher's like, "Oh, why is that cool?" And he says, "Oh, because I feel like we have a sub and you're not here. It's more laid back because we're not getting lectured and taking notes all day." And then he said, like, "Oh, I'm giving you 15 minutes of notes. You don't consider that laid back?" But there was one particular day, like I didn't tell anybody about it. Never did. But I just did not. I was so tired that day. I just did not want to be bored out of my mind. I think it was a Monday. And I didn't tell anybody about it. I was usually the first one to arrive at class. The door was always locked, so I couldn't go in. So I took like a staple or a paper clip, and I think it was a paper clip, and I think I might have taken some sharp scissors, cut a little part so it would fit into the keyhole, and I kind of like maneuvered it in a way that would fit into the keyhole and jam it. And then we ended up getting a free hour that day. We just went to the library and talked. I was laughing my ass off so bad that he couldn't get the door unlocked, and I thought he was gonna break the key off. He was really putting a lot of force into it. And people are like, "Oh man, look at this dumbass can't even get the door open." I'm like, the secret discreetly like laughing my ass off when I caused the problem. So we just went to the library that day. We didn't do any work at all. We just got like a free hour and a half in there to goof off. And there was one guy, Dennis, that was in my math, I think it was a algebra class, pre-algebra, my freshman year. And he opened up the window. The thing is, it was a new edition, and on the side of this part of this new edition, I think they had planted grass, but it hadn't popped up yet, it hadn't bloomed yet. It was wet, real muddy out there, and he went out the window. Well, the windows, they didn't have screens on them yet, so he opened the window, and he like was running all over in the mud for whatever reason. I think just to piss the teacher off. And then he came back in, and it must have been fun for custodian, whoever had to clean it up. But he did was a tile floor, and he tracked mud all over the place. And then it was in class my senior year. It was called Adult Living Parenting. And this one girl, Lisa, in the class wasn't very the sharpest tool in the shed, but everybody cracked up because we had the study guide, and we're supposed to again read the question, answer the questions, turn them in, and then I think we were working on it in class, homework in class. And then she's like, "What?" She's like, "Aren't these questions for adults, for parents?" And then everybody cracked up, and someone said, "Hello, we're in a parenting class." And then also going back to this freshman year, there were no screens on the windows. One particular day, it was really hot in the springtime, and they didn't have the air on yet because it takes like 2 or 3 days to turn. They didn't have 2 or 3 days to turn on. They didn't have screens on the window yet, and I wasn't actually in this class, but my best friend Jim I think it was his earth science class, was on the second floor, and you could actually see down to the library. And there was this one girl, Gina, that was a junior at the time. That was real cute. Me and my friend Jim and I and a bunch of other guys had hots for this girl, Gina. Friend Jim was like waving at Gina in the library from the second floor. And then there was this other girl, Megan, that a lot of the guys had the hots for. And I think it was the same day or a different day, but again, she was in the library, and this guy Josh that I just mentioned earlier was in my English class junior year. He was in this particular class, and he was trying to get this girl Megan, trying to get her attention. I don't know if she saw her, and I don't know if the writing was big or not, but he took like some type of, I don't know, it was poster board or construction paper, and I think he wrote on there with a marker. And this guy Tom, he said, "Hey, like Tom wants to bone you," and I don't know if she saw it or not. It might have been too far away, and well, could have been with the sunlight too. I mean, lettering wasn't big enough, but she didn't have. Friend Jim said that she didn't have any kind of reaction. I wish I could have been in that science class. Sounded like it was. Yeah, but friend Jim said there were a lot of slackers in there, a lot of funny stories. There was another day, but the particular teacher was a character, and he, I guess, told the whole class that they were going to have to bring a protractor in the next day or the next week, and he says, "Yeah, you're going to need a protractor." He's like, "I don't care how you get it, but you're going to need one." He's like, "Buy one, borrow one, steal one, however you want to do it, it's fine, I don't care." And then this one guy said, like, "Oh, okay, if I steal one and the cops arrest me, I'll just tell them that you said it was okay to do it." And there's another guy in the class. I think he got expelled. I think for drug. I don't know if it was just one instance of drug possession, but I think part of it was he was actually stealing scales, probably to measure out his drugs. It's pretty funny. And so was it my junior year? There was a fight. These two guys weren't likable at all. This guy Eric and Sean, like they were both dicks. And I don't know what it was, but I guess they just didn't like each other for some reason. I think Sean had a beef with this guy Eric. I don't know what exactly happened, but they were both not likable at all. Especially this guy Sean, he was always getting in the fights. He made no friends from he got into a fight the first day that he moved to this town in 8th grade, so he definitely did not make too many friends. I actually was friends with him, but then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, senior year, he started turning on me. He hung out with a couple other guys. I guess he thought they were more cool than me, and all of a sudden he started treating me like a dick. I'm like, "Oh, I guess we're not friends anymore. What the hell did I do to you?" And but yeah, they were in the hallway. A whole bunch of people thought they were going to fight right then and there. And this guy Sean just told this guy Eric, he's like, "I really don't like you." And he was like, "Oh," this guy Eric's like, "Oh, you want to fight?" He's like, "Sure. You want to do it now?" Or they didn't want to get suspended, didn't want to get in trouble, and I guess they had made arrangements to fight this guy Eric. I guess after school, both of his parents were, still at work, and there were a bunch of people. I didn't go. I didn't want any part of it. I figured I'll just hear about it. But yeah, this guy Eric was a lot bigger, a lot stronger. This guy Sean, even though this guy Sean was a pretty big, strong guy himself, but they fought in his backyard. I don't know if any neighbors are home, but nobody got in trouble. But they were fighting in his backyard right after school. And I guess there were like 50 people on this guy Eric's deck in the backyard. And they were fighting, they were going at it. And this guy Eric just beat the shit out of this guy Sean. I guess at one point he was like on top of him. He was like sitting on his chest, knees spread, and just like wailing on him. And his face was all bloody. And I guess it got to like he already had him beat. I would have given up right then and there. And I guess this Eric, he already had his ass beat. And he said, "Oh, you had enough yet? You want to quit here?" But Sean was like, "Oh, no, I haven't had enough. Let's keep going." It's like, "All right," and just started wailing on him again. And I guess eventually this guy Sean just gave in, said, "Okay, it's over. You win. You're a better fighter than me." And I guess they just shook hands and went on their merry way. But I guess this guy Eric was afraid of getting arrested. Just in case the cops did get called. So, he was like egging this guy, Sean. He's like, "Oh, you hit me first." He's like, "I want you to hit me first. That way, I can say I'm just defending myself." So, yeah, this Eric did actually get a black eye as Sean punched him in the eye, but that was like the only punch he got in, I thought. Yeah, he just threw the one punch, and then like all the other punches belonged to the guy Eric that was a lot bigger, stronger, and obviously a better fighter. And this guy Sean too was dating this guy Laura, and from like 8th grade until freshman year, and they had broken up. I mean, like this guy Sean was such a dick, and but I guess no, they were still friends. I don't know if they were still friends with benefits or what, but this girl Laura and I were friends, and she knew that I was into cooking. And we were kind of flirting with each other back and forth. And she actually asked me. It was right before, was it right after Thanksgiving? I think I said I was going to make an apple pie for Thanksgiving, and she said, "Oh, can you save a piece for me?" And I brought in a piece for her. And yeah, she really liked the pie. She was really happy about it, glad that I did it. She really appreciated it. And then I think not too long, I don't know if it was that same day or not too long after, I asked her out. I asked her if she wanted to go see a movie, or I could come over to her house and cook dinner for us, or she could come over to my house, I could cook dinner. And she said yes, but that sounded, I don't know if something else overheard, or I don't know if, yeah, she told her ex-boyfriend, this guy Sean, but then I was afraid, because I wasn't really that big back in the day. I wasn't really fighting, or definitely any part of a fight. I wish I would have just gone through it, said the hell with this guy Sean. If he wants to beat my ass, let him beat my ass. I'm not going to give up a girl for him. I think maybe he still had feelings for her, because he said something like, oh, he's like, do you like Laura? And I was like, oh boy, I bet the word got around and I asked her out somehow, some way. And I said, yeah, just as a friend. And he says, oh, are you sure you just like her as a friend? Like, yeah. And he's like, oh, well, you just like her as a friend. Why are you asking her to come over to your house? So I just stopped pursuing her after that. Never went any farther than that. Let's see. Oh, and there was one guy in my junior year. This guy, Ryan, was a short little shit. He never put his hands on me, but he was always talking shit about me, just so annoying. And I just had it with him. I actually worked with him too. I saw him at school, saw him at work. I just had it with him. He was always making smart-ass comments to me, always giving me shit at work, complaining about my work. Thought he was like the cat's Mel. And I guess my book bag was open. Something fell out, pens fell out, maybe a spiral notebook fell out. And I think he was really trying to get my goat, claimed he was just trying to help me. This is the end of school. And something, like I said, whatever fell out. And he's like, oh, Jeff, your bag's open, you fucking retard. And I pinned him up against the wall, got right in his face. I said, why don't you shut the fuck up before I beat you, a fucking pussy ass? And he's like, Jesus, Jeff, I'm just kidding. I'm just trying to help you. And I wonder if you really, I don't know, but he never messed with me after that, never talked shit to me after that. So that was good. And then he eventually, I don't know, I think he probably found another job, quit. I don't think it was because of me, because we never had any more problems at work. Never talked any more shit to me at work. But I think he just didn't like the job, didn't like the bosses. None of us liked the boss of that job anyway. But he, ended up quitting. Never talked to me, never messed with me after that. So that was satisfying. And then in my sophomore year English class, we were having like a little debate on abortion, for, against, pro-life, pro-choice. And this one girl in the class, kind of a slutty girl, it was obvious that everybody knew that she was sexually active. She was like one of the biggest sluts in the school. And she was actually for abortion. She had said that she didn't see anything wrong with it. She's like, oh, I'm only, 17. I'm not, I don't work full time. I don't make a lot of money. I can't afford to support a child. If I had a baby, I wouldn't be able to go to college. And I think I had made I made like a rebuttal. I made like an argument to her. I responded to her. I said, "Oh well, if you can't afford to support a child, then you shouldn't be having sex in the first place." And oh man, did that start a war? That was pretty funny. I meant what I said, but I didn't really feel bad about it. I was just voicing my opinion, but boy, did it get her goat. Oh man, it got her goat like you would not believe. She was so pissed. Let's see. And then there was a school. There were a lot of fights that used to take place after school. I figured I couldn't get suspended for it because it was, even though it was right across from school, it wasn't on school property, and a lot of kids. There was a big parking lot there, people including me, before we had, I think you had to be a junior to get a parking permit. And even if you were a junior, I think seniors got top priority, and even juniors didn't get guaranteed. You had to bid on a spot. I think my junior year, I won a bid for a spot. But yeah, so some juniors and some sophomores that had their licenses, because you were a sophomore, you couldn't get a parking spot. So I was a sophomore. You didn't have a parking spot yet, couldn't get a parking permit, so I used to park at this park. But anyways, there was a fight one day after school, and all of a sudden the cops showed up. So everybody took off immediately. My one friend, Chris, actually got in. I worked with him too. I wasn't there, but when he showed up at work, he was having such a bad day. He's like, oh man, I got into 2 car accidents, and what the hell happened? And he said, oh, a fight was about to start, and then all of a sudden the cops showed up. Everybody was leaving in a hurry. So he backed up in a hurry, and he hit somebody. And then he was like, oh shit. So then he, I guess he was going to pull into a parking space and get the girl's information he hit. make a police report, and then it turned out someone else was in a hurry to leave, and then they backed into him. So it was like he had two different car accidents. I think they actually had left the property, and I think they called the cops from, so because this was before cell phones were, they were in existence, hardly anybody had them, so I think they all like drove to payphones and just made a report there, and there were no cameras. I think they had just lied, and I think they went to like a Jewel or something like that, where there was a big parking lot with a payphone there. I think they said, there were no cameras. I think they just made up with a bullshit story that the accidents took place there. And it's funny, somebody at work, this girl was asking my friend Chris, like, oh, how you doing, Chris? How's your day? And he's like, oh, no comment. He's like, I got into 2 car accidents, so not good, not good. I think that says it all. And then junior year, towards the end of the year, I was so burned out, and my parents actually believed it. They had senior skip day, but I lied to my parents. Still had to get called in sick. You had to, otherwise you'd be considered truant. Whatever they, don't, if you were like a no call, no show. And I think I lied to my parents on like a Friday. I just wanted to go out golfing. And I said, yeah, like tomorrow we're having like a junior cut day. So you just call in sick for me. And they did it. And I went out and played golf. And senior year, I was in government class, U.S. government. And we had like this mock trial. And I was playing the part of the prosecuting attorney, and it was so funny because this guy David, who was like a bully of mine, I hated so much, and he was the one that was on the witness stand, and he was like a suspect in this. I forget what the case was about. It was like a murder, like a mock murder trial or robbery or something like that, and I was questioning him. I was really sticking him with a lot of incriminating questions. And this one guy, I forget what her name was, I forget who it was, but I heard a girl's voice in the background saying, because I was really it was at the end, I was burned out my senior year. I had it with high school, and I was just letting it loose, just unloading on this guy, and people could tell that I was really pissed, I was angry. And this one girl, I could hear her in the background, a few rows back, and she's like, oh my God, Jeff is a psycho, or something like that. Pretty funny. And then freshman year Earth Science class, towards the end of the year, I think like 3 or 4 students, we had like groups, we were assigned groups, and we were supposed to talk about like the weather, the temperature, the humidity, the clouds, what type of clouds that we noticed, where there was precipitation, things like that, wind. We had some type, I forget what it was called, but some type of instrument. We get like the wind speed and the direction that the wind was going, things like that. So there was a group of like 4 guys. They were like total stoners, total burnouts, and I think they went out to get the weather. Normally people were back pretty fast within like 10 minutes, but these guys were gone for half an hour, and you could just totally, they came back like stoned as hell. You could smell it on them. They were smoking weed. They were gone for like half an hour, probably smoking weed in the bathroom, and came back, and I think they got in trouble for that. And then my Earth Science class too, there's this one guy, Abel. It was the last class of the day, and he stopped like showing up in like late September, early October, and then all of a sudden, like towards the end of the year in March or April, he must have got caught trying to skip, and she got sent back to class after he hadn't shown up for 6 months, and the teacher was like, oh, like, so what, the last 6 months, you just go home every day after 7th hour? And he opened up his book and was actually like, I don't know how he was ever going to get caught up, but he was actually like pretending, or he was actually acting or pretending like he was eventually going to get caught up for the last 6 months. I don't know how that was going to work. And then I never saw this guy before, I never saw him after my sophomore year. That same accounting teacher we all loved. It was so funny. It was like towards the end of the year, March or April, but this guy, like I said, I never saw him before. Never saw him after. I guess he got caught in the hallway. Nobody knew him. Nobody knew him. And he was supposed to be, he hadn't shown up to this class, the accounting class, the whole year. And it was pretty obvious that he was stoned as hell too. And the movie Friday was pretty popular back then, the original movie Friday. I think it might have been made in 93 or 94, something like that. A couple guys in the class were talking about it, a certain scene, a certain line, and he overheard. And he's like, oh, hey, guys, you talking about that movie Friday? And some guys were like, yeah, oh, man, I love that movie. Love that part, man. That's my favorite part of the movie. And he starts, like, reciting all these. He knew, like, the whole scene word for word. and I forget the lines, but he was like going over it for like 5 minutes, and we were all like sitting there like laughing our asses off, like trying not like this guy thought that we were laughing with him, we were actually all laughing at him, and yeah, I never saw him before that, and never saw him after, so that was kind of strange. And then there was a guy, Mike. It's funny, people probably because people were stealing. There were people that were bragging about stealing things from the lunch line. There were no cameras or anything like that. Nobody watching. So easy to steal. Or they should have said, you can't go into the food line with your book bag. There was no reason to bring your book bag to lunch. But yeah, people were talking about like boycotting the lunch program there, like because they were complaining that the prices were going up too high. They were trying to boycott it to get the prices down, but they probably were raising the prices because they were losing money because people were stealing. And people were bragging about too about how much they stole. But there was this guy Mike that was in front of me one day, and he actually had his book bag with him, and he put like a whole turkey sandwich into his book bag, and he kind of looked at me and laughed. He was right in front of me. And then when he paid, he got some stuff that he paid for. But it was funny, the cashier, she said, like, oh, your, what did you say? Like, your lunch portions, the items that you're buying get smaller every day. And he agreed, and then he, like, looked after he paid, he, like, looked back at me and laughed. Like, yeah, that's probably why the prices are going up. And then I don't know why, but there was like a rumor about me taking I don't know, somebody started a rumor that I took a shit outside the school, and I don't know who started it or why that got started for what reason. And some girl came up to me and she's like, Jeff, what did you do the other day? I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, oh, don't play dumb with me. You know what you did. What? And she's like, you took a shit outside, didn't you? I'm like, what? And I'm like, no, I didn't. She's like, yeah, you did. She's like, that's fucking disgusting. She's like, you should be so ashamed of yourself. And then she was talking to like your other girlfriends. Like, my God, she's like, some people just go wherever they please. I'm like, I don't know how that rumor got started or why or who started it. Weird. And then I think it was in the first grade. I had thrown up. I got sick, threw up one day, and yeah, like this one girl I think came up to me and she was talking to her new friends, and she go, yeah, this guy, like, he threw up, all over his desk, he threw up, like, spaghetti in first grade. I'm like, oh, yeah, that was, like, only 8 years ago. Like, tell me something new I don't know, come up with something original that all you could come up with. Dumb bitch. And then, let's see, they were actually in foods, I think it was that guy Dustin, but he had a foods class. We made spaghetti one day, and this guy Dustin, his partner, like, they were all stoners, and they gave the spaghetti sauce to the teacher, and she tried it. But they actually, after she tried it, then they were getting high in class. I guess they put like marijuana. It looked just like basil or oregano, but I guess they put marijuana into the rest of the spaghetti sauce after the teacher had already tasted it. I think there was some left over. They took it to lunch too, and they were just getting stoned throughout the whole day. And in my senior year, I don't know who this girl was. I know she was a sophomore, but I didn't know her. And this was like the last quarter of the senior year. Never saw her before. Didn't know her, and never got to know her. But so it was my fault. It wasn't done on purpose. But we were, I was 6'5" at the time. She was maybe 5'6" or 5'7". I went up for a rebound, and I didn't even know I did it. I felt something, like some type of pressure, but she got like so pissed, I accidentally elbowed her in the cheekbone, and she got so pissed, and she's like, oh, she's like, you motherfucker, you fucking prick, you bastard, and I'm like, I'm sorry, and I think we went out to get some, after we were done, I think we had our game, and then we were going outside to get some fresh air, and other people playing the game, and then I was sincerely sorry about it. I guess it just recurred at the time, I guess she wasn't really. Like, I thought, man, is this girl going to beat my ass or something like that? Because I'm not going to hit I'm even in self-defense. I'm not going to hit a girl. I might just, try to push her aside, keep her from hitting me. I'm not going to hit her back or fight her back or anything like that. I was kind of worried about that, but I guess it seemed like she forgave me. But still, at the same time, we were outside. And she go, yeah, it's the fucking bastard elbowed me in the cheekbone. And I said, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident, So it was all cool after that. Never had any more problems after that. It's funny, that same year, there was this one guy, Luke, such an asshole. He was just another shit. And I think he knew I might have done it on purpose. He was always never put his hands on me. but he was always talking shit about me, and I was afraid that he was actually going to fight this particular day. But I purposely, he got my goat so much, got me pissed so much. But I actually did it on purpose, but it was pretending it was an accident. But I got a rebound, and as I went back, I was on defense, got a defensive rebound, and then I wasn't the tall guy, the center. I wasn't the one to dribble up the court. I was usually one to make an outlet pass to a forward or a guard, and I pivoted, and I saw this guy Luke out of the corner of my eye, the right side of my eye, the corner of my right eye. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get him. He's close to me. I think he was trying to get the ball from me. And I had the ball in my hands. And as I pivoted, made like a turn, I purposely put my elbow out and actually elbowed him in the cheekbone on purpose and pretended like it was an accident. He got pissed too. He's like, oh, you fucker. I'm like, what? And I was pretending like it was an accident. He's like, you fucking hit me. I'm like, no, I didn't. He's like, yeah, you did. Look at this. He was already like swelling up. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Didn't do it on purpose. But I think he knew, I think a lot of people were happy that I did it. I think they because he was getting a lot of other people's goats too. I didn't tell anybody about it, but I think a lot of people, whether it was an accident or not done on purpose, I think they were kind of happy that it happened. He had it coming to him, but I think he knew that I did it on purpose, or maybe he felt like, oh, this guy's strong, he could beat my ass, because he never talked any shit with me, he never messed with me. He was kind of like a dirty player himself with all sports. We used to play, I think hockey. I think at one point he checked it. I think he hit me with a hockey stick or checked me in the wall. So I was just getting my revenge on him. But yeah, he never messed with me after that. So I think he either knew that I did it on purpose and could probably hurt him pretty bad, or maybe he, just felt like he didn't have a prayer against me. Maybe he realized that even when I told him it was an accident, maybe he realized I did it on purpose, and he wouldn't have a prayer if it ever came down to a fight. What was my last few? Oh, and then we had this one math teacher for algebra my sophomore year, and guys, when they lift weights, especially bench pressing or push-ups, they don't get fat, they'll get chest muscles. And there was this math teacher, algebra teacher my sophomore year. She had really big boobs. All the guys were always checking her boobs out. And then this one guy, Mike, he's like, oh man, he's like, I dare any of you guys. We're not doing it. But he's like, oh, why don't you do it? He was kind of like a daredevil, but he said, like, oh, I dare anybody to ask her if she lifts weights. I'm like, well, we're not doing it. We're not getting in trouble. And then one day he's like, hey, Mrs. So-and-so, do you lift weights? And, she didn't get it, but she just had this look in her face like, why the fuck would you ask? Why the hell would you ask me that? And then there was this bitchy gym teacher. There's a couple from 8th grade, but we had this bitchy gym teacher nobody liked. And she was really, she wasn't married, and she was a miss, not a missus. And I'm pretty sure she was a lesbian, because she kind of looked like a guy, she sounded like a guy. She kind of looked like a male version, or a female version of like Matthew Broderick. Really short hair, really kind of masculine looking, a lot of adrenaline for a woman. I mean, she was naturally a woman, but this guy, Brian, I couldn't believe we were all like in shock. He was sitting right next to me, right in front of me. I think we were sitting down for attendance, and she used to go through the attendance list. And, she wasn't a transgender, but he was asking her if she was. We were all kind of like shocked, like, oh my God, did he just say that? He did not just say that. And he's like, hey, Mrs. So-and-so, are you a guy? And like all of us were like, oh my God, did he just say that? I thought maybe he said something else, along with her, probably a lot of other people. I thought he said something else, and she's like, what did you say to me? And he said again, are you a guy? And he did get suspended. I don't know what the conversation they had was, but she's like going like this, like, come here, and they went out in the hall, they had a conversation. That was pretty funny. People were talking about that for years, and she wasn't a very likable teacher. She was a pain in the ass. Nobody cared for her. It was really weird. Like, she failed, or did she give me a D in gym class for whatever reason? Oh, she just said that I was I love sports. I was very active, but she gave me I always dressed, because you could get points off, lose like points for not dressing in the gym clothes. I always dressed in the gym clothes. I did well on the tests that we had, but yeah, she claimed I wasn't active enough. I wasn't participating enough. Like, what? What the hell are you talking about? Because I got good grades. I got A's and B's in all my other classes. So my teachers saw my report card. Like, what happened in gym? And I'm like, I don't know. She says I'm not active enough, not participating. And I think, I mean, I passed, but I mean, it wasn't like high school. I didn't really give a shit. It's like you didn't really need to get, good grades to pass into, you didn't get credit for it. I think even high school, you could get credits for a D. It was only if you got an F that you didn't get credits. But yeah, my teachers were like, "Oh, you're so hardworking." Like, yeah, they thought that was weird too. Like, "Oh, if you want, like, we'll fight for you," because they said that they fought for somebody like a year before to get a grade, up to a better grade. They said, "Oh yeah, if you want, we could fight to get you the better grade, the grade that you deserve." They said there was another student that we got, her or him a better grade from a teacher a year prior. We could do that for you if you want. That's all right. I'm not worried about it. And then there was other guy, Henry. He was a class clown too. For a drafting class in 8th grade, we had a substitute teacher, this guy, Mr. Neva, and he was an older guy, and he looked like he grew up in the 60s. This was in the 90s, so 94, but he still had like those really thick black rimmed like bifocal glasses. And those are the same glasses for those who are familiar with early mid '90s. Chris Farley on Saturday Night Live used to play because this guy was real tall and heavy set. Chris Farley was real tall and heavy set. He wore like the same types of glasses, and he used to do like that act where he said that he would scream, he'd yell out like, "I live in a van down by the river." I don't know if this teacher, he probably wasn't. I don't think he watched Saturday Night Live. Probably it did seem like he didn't get it. So this guy Henry, he said like, "Oh, I'm gonna ask him if he lives in a van down by the river," and he's like, "Oh, Mr. Neva, like, do you live in a van down by the river?" And again, just like that gym teacher, and he kind of looked like confused, like, "Why would you ask me that?" So yeah, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Those are all my funny stories from high school. So yeah, have a good rest of the weekend. Thank you to all my subscribers. Comment, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon. Another interesting video. Have a great Sunday, everybody. Take care, everyone, and stay safe out there from the coronavirus. Bye.